Well, good evening, everyone. I am forecaster and storm spotter Jay Dubensky, and you are watching Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. We have a very, very interesting Saturday night of weather in what I thought was going to be kind of a standard weekend this weekend. I know meteorologist Erica Martin, as the chief meteorologist here at Weather Co-op, had alluded to the potential for some interesting weather this weekend. But we now have a significant storm system over the Four Corners, as well as a hurricane. And we just had a tropical storm and a hurricane in the Atlantic earlier today. Um, And really, there wasn't that much news about it unless you were here at Weather Co-op. So that's another reason to make sure that you subscribe, like, share, become part of our various platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Talk Weather to Me, Facebook, Instagram, X. Make sure you're there because you will be in the know when it comes to weather, and then you can be the one to inform everyone else who doesn't know. So we're going to start with a quick look at what's going on in the Four Corners right now. And in zooming in here a little bit, it's pretty obvious here to see that we have a pretty potent storm system circulating around the Four Corners area. And by Four Corners, I mean Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado. You can see the low. It's actually a closed area of low pressure there that is spinning counterclockwise almost directly. The center of that is almost directly over Flagstaff, Arizona. And with that coloration that you see there, the white and the purple, that's indicating that we have some snow in the higher elevations. And that snow is making it also into southern Colorado up here. Let's see if I'll zoom in a little bit more for you so you can see that in more definition. There we go. So they're up near Durango and in the mountains out I-70. You can see that toward probably Vail, I would guess. You're probably seeing some snow tonight in the higher mountain peaks out there. And we do have some, obviously, winter weather advisories and watches that have been posted. But this is a pretty massive area of precipitation overall that is covering the Four Corners area in general. And when you get out to the eastern edge of where this precipitation is, here where I have the pointer, this is just about the border of New Mexico and western Texas. And in this area, we're showing right now some pretty impressive rainfall rates and some pretty strong storms embedded within this line of rain. You can see that just marching in here toward Clovis right now. And that area, well, Tucumcari too. But this is all getting very, very close to the state line for Texas. And some of the areas now, you can see maybe there's probably some embedded hail here. Let's see if we can I'd like to get some of the rates on this. 0.65. Look at that flash flood warning here for New Mexico. This is in southern Curry County and Roosevelt County in east central New Mexico. So we're looking at the potential here for 1 to 3 inches of rain in addition to the 1 to 3 inches that has already fallen. And that was one of my concerns here, knowing that this precipitation is working generally It's south to north. It does have a southwest to northeast component to it, but because it's going to take so long to traverse the same geographical area, if I put my pointer still, you can see how long it's taking. That's a 2-hour loop. So that heavy rain is going to add up pretty quickly. And we have other various areas here. Let's see if I can show you this. We have a flood watch in effect for most of eastern New Mexico, but I'm trying to get more on the precip rates. 0.15, let's see here, 0.32. So you get the general idea. In these areas where the heavier precipitation is falling, you can definitely see the potential for over 1/2 inch an hour. And we'll see if there's anything higher than that. Yeah, 0.65 is about the highest I can see. Whoa, look at that. Oh, hope that's just an anomaly in the button, but 2.75 per hour. Wow, that's impressive. And that is going to march over into western Texas, over the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. So areas, past Clovis, when you are driving through there, you have Interstate 60 that runs on a diagonal from the southwest of Clovis up into Texas. And then you have areas, you have like 385 that runs north to south here. You have 27 that runs between Amarillo and Lubbock. Obviously, this is very rural area, but there are some small towns in the path of this precip that are going to see some really impressive rain. You have Bavina and Fiona and Black and Summerfield all up in this general area here, and you're going to have to deal with this over the next several hours. And as I'll go back out to the wide shot and show you where this is going. We also have the threat here. And again, if you were on with us over the last couple of days, Chief Meteorologist Erica Martin was talking about the threat for flooding and heavy rainfall for the Central Plains states. So this all lines up now in real time, that this line and this huge area of rainfall here and storminess is going to march its way into Kansas, Nebraska. As we move through tomorrow, you'll see it get into Iowa, even at the end of the day, over into western Missouri. You're all going to be impacted by this. I think Oklahoma itself is going to see rain pretty much for the entire state during the course of tomorrow. And the panhandle of Oklahoma, you guys are going to see the threat for severe the earliest as we work through the morning hours. But then I do think that we'll see the threat for a corridor of severe weather that will somewhat mimic the 35 corridor, maybe just to the west of that, up into central Kansas. We'll definitely see some risk there for severe weather. And I'm going to take this widescreen one last time, and then I'll put the wide box out here and see what we have. Yeah, let's see. Take a sweep. I'm going to load this up for you. There we go. Just wanted to do a quick refresh on that. So you can see how that area is going to impact the plains as we work through tomorrow. And with the rest of the United States, continental United States anyway, with the exception of the far northwest corner, in Washington, Seattle, Portland. You guys are going to see some rain clipping you up there, and then really doesn't look like anything, maybe a little bit for the peninsula up there, the UP, and then some rain. It's actually moisture working around the front edge of the high pressure ridge that's bringing all this nice weather over the Mississippi River Valley, over the Appalachians. On the front side of that high, it's counterclockwise. You have that circulation down coast. So it's actually helping to create a little bit of shower activity that's moving toward the Florida coast, northeast Florida coast, and then completely wrapping around the area of high pressure. You have this big clockwise circulation here. You can see how it's pushing the moisture across the Gulf of Mexico and allowing some convection there that's bringing some rain, albeit not that much, to the very southern tip of Texas. So like Corpus Christi to Brownsville there, you can see some shower activity impacting you throughout tonight and into tomorrow. But really, with the exception of this one storm, and it is a really potent, powerful storm, the rest of the country is enjoying relatively calm weather. And you can see there are some frost advisories here for the mid-Atlantic and for, looks like, the Hudson River Valley there. Yeah, for sure. And then a little freeze warning, looks like, for the northwest corner of Vermont and the Lake Champlain region there, Vermont and New York. It's just an exception because the temperatures are going to be cold on the leading edge of that high, but calm, cool, dry weather for the areas impacted by Helene, which is great for the recovery efforts for you guys. And then warm conditions for most of the eastern seaboard. And that's a relief also. And getting into this time of the year to have 70-degree temperatures for the East Coast is really a good thing. We did see mid-70s for highs today for Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, and even just above 70 degrees for places like New York City and Hartford, Connecticut. Great weather for October for you guys. All right, so now that we have that covered, let's talk about our hurricane. You say, Jay, what do you mean, our hurricane? Well, out here in the Caribbean, we have Hurricane Oscar. And it did develop quite rapidly. I'm going to load this graphic for you. There we go. And it's showing two tropical systems, and I'll explain why. Earlier today, we had Tropical Storm Nadine form just off the Yucatan Peninsula, and it moved into right in the area of Belize earlier this afternoon, but quickly dissipated as it moved inland. There are a lot of really high mountains in this area, and it's now almost, the center of it, rough center, is almost over the very southern tip of Mexico, and it's moving to the west, due west, at about 14 miles per hour. With the pressure of this already being at 1,006 millibars, meaning the pressure's coming up, it's weakening, the greatest impact here is going to be rainfall. And the forecast track that we have for the remnants, what will be the remnants of Nadine, take it into the Pacific Ocean, which is quite interesting. And it may indeed reacquire tropical characteristics once it gets back out into the Pacific Ocean, and could be one of those rare storms. We typically see one a year, one every 2 years, that forms in the Atlantic Basin, gets named in the Atlantic Basin, works across Central America, and then ejects back out, reforms in the Pacific, and then has to be renamed in the Pacific Ocean. Um, we'll see. Stay tuned on that one. Models are a little conflicting. We're keeping an eye on it here at Weather Co-op, and we're just as curious as you are. I mean, we think it definitely has a chance to reacquire tropical characteristics. So we'll see what happens with that. The story with Oscar, and I am very impressed with the performance of this system. It had been in an area that looked pretty ripe for development. And sure enough, between the really high sea surface temperatures here and the relative area of high pressure that was existing just to the north of where the storm formed, it had what I'll call enough of a pocket to be able to strengthen and become really ran through the cycle quite quickly, where it became tropical cyclone and then tropical storm Oscar, and now Hurricane Oscar. And at the latest update, we have a 987 millibar hurricane with 85 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. But as you can see from this image, even the circulation of Oscar is very small, very compact. So it's kind of confined right now in this area here between the Anaguas and the Turks and Caicos. And at least as far as we can tell here from our modeling with our computer here at Weather Co-op, what we're going to see with the behavior of Oscar is going to be, it's going to be pretty short-lived. And what I'll do, actually, we'll get this off. We'll take a little walk here to the wall, and I'll show you what's going to happen with Oscar. So we'll go off that camera. We'll go to the big wall. Stay with me here. Okay. So where Oscar is positioned now is west of the Turks and Caicos. So this is the Turks and Caicos Islands here. And then just to the, I'd say, due west of the circulation. This is Little Anagua Island, and then this is Anagua Island, and the Rosa Lake here. There's a big lake in the middle of the western half of the island. The whole area here, both Little Anagua and Anagua, very low elevation. So that's a concern given the fact that even though the relative nature of Oscar as a compact hurricane, it isn't as much of a threat in terms of its maximum wind damage potential as it is with its rain potential. And the surge that's going to propagate from it won't be as widespread as, say, a Milton or Helene when they were impacting the coastline. But because it's going to basically transition right over Anagua and right between the two, Little Anagua and Anagua Island, we're going to see quite a bit of damage here just based on its proximity to the center of that small compact circulation. You can see here with the upper level wind flow trend, though, the track of Oscar is going to initially continue westward, but then take it slightly south, west-southwest, and then that will bring it over the coast of Cuba sometime late, I'm thinking late tomorrow, very early as we get to Monday. And then the overall general tendency with the modeling is to take the storm across, and this is not going to be good for Cuba, take it across Cuba and then circle back and bring it back over the water and impact the Bahamas here, the southern Bahamas, by the time we get to late Monday into Tuesday. And that's not a great forecast, but our computers are really, really doing a good job of trying to process this track right now, because we have shearing that's going to come in from the west, and it's going to help pick it up, pick Oscar up, and then recurve it, hopefully out to the north, to the northeast, and then the east northeast. But there is a lot of variance in the computer modeling right now. So you look at the spaghetti plots, and some of them have the circulation going more into Cuba, which would spell a tremendous amount of rainfall for the island of Cuba, and we don't want to see that. It's going to be hit pretty hard anyway, and we have a lot of, there's in the center of Cuba, the really high mountain ranges here, which just like what we saw in North Carolina, unfortunately, when you have the villages and communities down in the valleys between those mountains, you can have really bad flash flooding if you do get a lot of rainfall in a short period of time. And I think we're going to see some of that anyway along the eastern coast of Cuba. But we'll see in terms of the track how it impacts the eastern part of the island in totality. But if the track does follow that tendency to turn northward and then northeastward out toward the Bahamas, we'll have to keep an eye on some of these southern Bahamian islands here, because even if it maintains tropical storm strength, we're going to be coming from an angle that the islands typically don't get impacted from when it comes to tropical cyclones. Normally, we're seeing impacts coming in this direction off the ocean. It doesn't happen all that often that we get a storm coming from the opposite direction, essentially, and moving into the islands that way. So they're a little less protected, let's say, and fortified to take the hit from a tropical cyclone moving up in that direction. So we'll see what happens with the track there. You will obviously get the latest from us here at Weather Co-op, and Chief Meteorologist Erica Martin will be monitoring this very closely tomorrow, and we'll be here with the latest forecast updates for you on that, as well as the system continue to develop. As I step off camera here to sign off, the system developing and moving through the Four Corners area. We're going to be dealing with that as well. And as that eventually moves into the Central Plains, we'll see what impacts that brings to the areas. Talk about Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa and Missouri and Oklahoma and Texas even, as we work through tomorrow and into tomorrow night. So we'll sign off for now. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please like, share, subscribe, hit your notifications, and thank you for being part of this update, which is now after midnight on the West Coast and very early in the morning on the East Coast. We'll see you again shortly.